Do you think you're playing football? Do you think you're playing football? Do you think you're playing football? You are showing me nothing.
Fires, Mike Sims, Walker, knocked down.
Oh my God! Davis is going running all the way back. Auburn's going to win the football game.
In trouble, he's going to be sacked. No, gets away. He runs, gets away again, goes to the 40, gets away again.
Jackson takes it himself. Look at him turn back and forth. Oh! He broke his ankles.
I have never seen this before in my life.
Still looking. Firing. Near corner. It's caught!
Denver! Unbelievable!
And welcome to the Fourth Down Fiasco!
Hello and welcome to the Fourth Down Fiasco, your go-to podcast for an in-depth exploration of all things football. Each week we dissect the highs and lows of last week's games, offering expert analysis. We're experts, right? Player insight and memorable moments. I am your bartender's best friend, Jordan Pryor, and with me are the rising stars of the podcast industry, the man who likes pina coladas, Tanner Vinsky, and the man who likes getting caught in the rain, Danny Weber. Say hello, everyone.
Hey, hey.
Hello, hello, hello.
The rundown of today's podcast will go like this. In our first segment, we'll dive into the results from the divisional round of the playoffs, followed by conference championship predictions and free agency outlook for next season in the second segment, and then some shenanigans regarding the ELF and another draft. With that, it is fourth down and goal to go. Pina colada, caught in the rain. Are we going to win today?
Hopefully. We only have a couple games left of the NFL season.
You know, that is the most positive response you have given me all season. So, you know what? Screw it. We have a chance. I will tell you who didn't have a chance, though, and that was the Houston Texans, who fell to the Ravens 34-10 in a game that for the first 2.5 quarters felt very close. Houston kind of stuck around for a little while, and then it was like with that touchdown in the third, and then the fourth quarter just as a whole, the Ravens just blew the doors open. So...
Yeah, it did feel close. It was tied at halftime, only down 7 going into the fourth. But the Ravens defense, not even allowing the Texans' high-powered offense to get a single touchdown, holding them to a field goal, and then their special teams giving up the punt return. Dissecting the box score, it was very one-sided. But if you were watching it, it did look close.
Well, look close for the first half. I mean, the second half didn't look close at all.
Yeah.
I mean, once the Baltimore had that first drive, it was pretty much over going into the second half. I mean, Houston did have the ball for a good amount of time during that second half, but they just couldn't move it downfield at all. I mean, it felt like all the big play potential was completely removed. The running game was stuffed. I mean, the wide receivers just were not even making like open plays. CJ Stroud was uncomfortable in the pocket. That Ravens defense looked scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think to me, the biggest thing was inexperience on Houston's part, as well as, a talent discrepancy. I think that D'Amico Ryans is such a great head coach that he's able to get every ounce of talent out of his players. And so, I mean, Houston, even though they had a bunch of penalties in the first half, they put up a good fight. But a good fight only lasts so long whenever you're playing a team that is significantly more talented than you. Yeah. And I think that that's what it was in the second half. I think we just saw a much more talented Ravens team, just finding different ways here and there to make bigger plays and to just get the job done.
Because the thing about Houston, I mean, is if they were even just a little bit more talented and could compete a little bit better, I mean, Houston had a chance. I mean, they had a punt return touchdown, like typically when you get a punt return touchdown to tie the game and you're going to a tied game going into halftime, I mean, if you're on the same playing field as the other team, you're usually taking that one, or it's at least within a field goal,
Yeah, all that momentum comes back
Baltimore
on your
was
side
just,
at that point.
Yeah, but Baltimore was just so much more prepared for this game, and they were not going to let Houston sneak this one away.
No.
Well, and like we talked about last week, the Texans just lack a true wide receiver one. And I think that once they, if they can get a dog at that wide receiver one position, I think that they're a whole different team. But, you had Dalton Schultz drop at least one pass, but I believe he dropped two. And Nick Collins was the highest receiving yards player for Houston. So, there just wasn't a whole lot of production through the air, unfortunately. And I just think that comes down to they've got a lot of really nice players, but they don't have that guy who can just take over a game,
Yeah, Schultz.
And I do think. Oh, sorry, go for it, Danny.
Schultz had that one big drop in the beginning. I think it was their first drive of the game. Mm-hmm. It would have been like a 25-yard catch, if not more. They ended up converting that possession anyways, that set of downs, but just that big play opportunity missed can really hinder a drive. And then I think they got called for a false start after that as well.
Yep. Penalties killed them.
Yeah, but if they can get a good wide receiver and draft well, this team will be scary for years to come.
And I honestly think Nico Collins can develop into a wide receiver one. Like, I like Nico Collins a lot, and he showed that he can get good separation. He's still relatively young too, right?
Yeah, I think he's been in 2
years.
The
second year, right?
2 or 3 years. But he's a big body. He reminds me of T. Higgins. He can get separation.
Yeah, he's 24.
Yeah. He can get separation. He can jump for that 50-50 ball, and he's quicker than he seems being as big as he is.
Yeah, I think he could develop into it, but I do agree that it can't just be him and Tank Dell. Probably getting another wide receiver in that room, someone that's a little bit more highly touted talent-wise, would really be a game changer for them.
Yeah, I think that if they can, get a bigger name wide receiver in free agency, which we might get into later. Yeah, exactly. I think that would probably be the best thing for both Collins' development and Tank Dell's development as well. Just being able to have that older, veteran wide receiver presence, however that looks. Yeah. So I think that would probably be the best thing for them, instead of trying to force them to become, wide out one, wide out two, to instead let someone else be wide out one and then teach them how to adjust their game and then elevate them afterwards.
Yeah. And I would like to see Tank Dell in the slot more. I feel like with his size, he would be a scary slot receiver.
Oh, yeah.
And again, once they get an option to make sure he doesn't have to play outside, I think that will open things up a lot too.
Yeah, if they draft a wide receiver, sign a wide receiver, just to let Dell move inside a little bit, that offense can really unload.
They also need to figure out something at running back. I feel like their running game just is not...
It's not great.
Yeah, no, and it makes their offense just so one-dimensional, and that was another thing that was very apparent during this game was, you put pretty much it unless CJ Stroud has the greatest win ever for a rookie quarterback, basically, they were going to lose this game because they have no running game. And so they need to also figure that out too. Get someone back there that can, average 4 yards a carry at least.
Yeah. Devin Singletary is not going to lead a good running offense. He'll have good games here and there, but against this good Ravens defense, he had 9 carries for 22 yards with a 2.4 average. Just terrible. And they didn't even really run with anybody besides him. That's how unconfident the team is. And I think his name is Ogun Bulwe and what's his face? Damian Pierce. Damian Pierce doesn't even get reps anymore with how bad he is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we once again reiterating it. I'm excited for the Texans, and it is scary to see the Ravens dismantle a team in the division round heading into the conference championship.
The Ravens look like the best team in football right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, another team with a very bright future that lost their playoff game as well. Packers lose to the 49ers 24-21. I thought that the Packers were going to pull off the upset. It was a damn good game until it wasn't.
Yeah, I agree. I thought the Packers were going to pull the upset as well, but Tanner can go ahead and start this one.
No, Packers really looked like they had the game in control for a little bit there. They were leading, I feel like, for the majority of this game. And they were just surgical on offense. I mean, receivers were breaking open, like they were picking apart the defense. Jordan Love looked amazing. And they were playing damn good defense too. They made Brock Purdy, make some pretty untimely throws. They were able to keep control. They were able to control game pace. I mean, it was one of those things where they looked good, but it just never felt like they were going to win for me. And I don't know why, but it just felt
That's
like
fair.
there was a large talent deficit there. And you could just see that Green Bay was using every bit of effort they had just to get in the position they were. And I mean, I think everybody fully expected that missed field goal to happen when it did. And yeah, a lot of people are going to say oh my God, that was such a terrible interception by Jordan Love. They're on second down with a minute left. That wasn't a desperation throw. But I mean, for functionally a first year quarterback, when you're in that position driving down to try to win the game, it kind of does feel like an all or nothing throw in that moment. And that's just due to his youth and him not playing on an NFL field that often. If he would have gone through and led that game winning drive, that would be unreal for someone in their first year of play. So yeah, it was a bad interception. It looked just like a Brett Favre interception.
Yeah.
But I doubt Jordan Love is going to have as many as those as Brett Favre is going to. I think that was really just he tried to go deep in his bag and expected that, he would make some miracle play. And in reality, you can't throw a crossbody out of the pocket.
Crossbody, middle of the field. Yeah.
It was a bad throw, especially, and it was triple coverage too. Everything about it was terrible. But I mean, I don't think that's oh shit, we got to watch out for, Jordan Love to throw these back-breaking interceptions. I mean, he's a first-year player essentially, despite being in the NFL for a few years. Yeah.
Yeah. But was I the only one who thought the linebacker was going to fumble the ball on that return? Because he was running around like a chicken with his head cut off, with the ball just hanging out there.
Yeah, that was bad.
Yeah.
Because he had 2 picks that game, didn't he? That was what's his face?
Yeah. I don't know if he had. I didn't remember the first.
Dre Greenlaw.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had both.
But it really showed you mentioned before the inexperience, because Green Bay is the youngest team in the NFL. I think their average age is 24.9 or something like that, or just cracked 25. And you have that 49ers defense who has years of experience. Their wide receivers have years of experience. Their youngest player on their team is their quarterback. And if you have Christian McCaffrey as your running back, it helps your team tremendously.
Yeah. They have multiple MVP caliber players on their team, as well as a multi-time defensive player of the year candidate in Nick Bosa. And for me, the one thing that really frustrated me throughout the game was, I mean, how many interceptions did Green Bay drop?
There was one that it went through 4 people's hands.
Yes. Oh my gosh. It was just one of those things where, at the end of the day, Brock had a just fine stat line, and this is not going to be a I hate Brock Purdy podcast, although I do hate the 49ers as a whole. If we're letting our biases, out in public. But he had a fine game, I guess, but his stat line should have been a little uglier. Honestly,
oh, yeah.
Because there was a good probably 4 potential interceptions over the course of this game and I don't know what it is, because this isn't the first time that I've seen that with Brock Purdy. It is incredible just how many interceptions I see get dropped. So I don't know if he's got a little extra zing on that ball and it's just hitting defenders harder in the hands than they expect, or what it is. But yeah, it was frustrating seeing just how many drop picks there were on Green Bay's behalf.
Just a little.
He's a reckless quarterback.
He is when he's under pressure. Yes.
Yeah, when he's under pressure, he's very reckless. And again, I think a lot of it is, you get bailed out. I mean, defensive players aren't the best at, finishing a play like that. And that's always been the thing is, most people who are DBs probably wanted to be a wide receiver at some point, but they couldn't catch. So they ended up being a DB. And he's not always going to get that benefit. Eventually the picks are going to start stacking. I mean, what game was it this year that he had? What, did he have 3 or 4 in a game?
He had 4
against the Ravens.
Yeah, it was against the Ravens. He had 4, and he's gonna have games like that because he's so reckless under pressure. And again, I don't hate Brock Purdy as much as I think like people are straight disrespectful to Brock Purdy. I mean, they think like Mitch Trubisky would do just as well in that system, you know? Like that's how disrespectful people are about Brock Purdy. Now, I don't think Brock Purdy is a top 10 QB in the NFL right now. I think he's probably in that fringe like 15 area. But I think that's all the Niners
benefits. He greatly benefits from those who are around him, I think.
He has a great team around him.
Yes. But I think he's in a great position on a great team, and I don't see why the Niners would really upgrade over him. I mean, what are the odds that you get somebody better than Purdy, you know? And I think Purdy does enough that you can win a Super Bowl with. He's not Jimmy Garoppolo. He's way better than Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah.
So, and they almost won a Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo, you know? So I think Brock Purdy gets a lot of unnecessary hate. But I also think that people that said that Brock Purdy's performance in that game was Joe Montana-esque also need to pump the brakes. Yeah. You know, it was like when people were talking about the Patriots going from Tom Brady to Mac Jones because Mac Jones had a couple of really good games there for a little bit. And it's like you just kind of look at the team and you're like, oh, yeah, no, Brock Purdy's like Joe Montana. Tom Brady's or Mac Jones is like Tom Brady. And it's like, no, that's not how it works. But I don't know. We'll see with Brock Purdy. But I would think the 49ers would be stupid to move on from him at any point.
Especially
really,
in the future. You're paying $870,000 for him.
You're paying nothing.
Yeah.
Peanuts.
Do you know who
the guy literally has to have a roommate because he lives in California with those wages. You know, like.
Do you know who he reminds me of? JJ McCarthy. That's my
dude. I there's no way JJ McCarthy goes in the first round, but I really want to see it. I think that would be so funny. That team would get clowned so hard. Oh, no.
Someone's gonna do it. Someone's gonna do it.
I feel like someone's gonna do it. I feel like someone's gonna take him in the first round.
He's Daniel Jones. He's gonna be great.
Watch him be really good. That'd be crazy.
He could be the next Tom Brady out of Michigan. Tom Brady didn't do much at Michigan, and then came out to be Tom Brady. So,
yeah,
we could see.
Another thing, real quick, before we move on, is that I looked at the roster for the Packers and looked at their ages. They have 2 players over 30, and one of them is Bakhtiari, who's on injured reserve.
Wow, that's crazy.
Isn't that insane?
They're gonna be good for a while.
Yeah.
Next game on the docket was Bucks-Lions.
What a good game.
Baker's going to bake, you know?
Baker's going to bake. I sent
Baker's
going to
bake.
And instantly regretted it.
Yeah, for those of y'all who may not have seen it, Danny tweeted out on our Fourth Down Fiasco Twitter account that he was feeling a college Baker Mayfield drive, and then the very next play, Baker threw the game-losing interception. So, if you ever take betting advice, don't ever take it from Danny.
Hey, now.
I might bring back the guaranteed locks just for you.
That's funny. But looking at the scoring summary, they literally just match each other all the way up until the fourth quarter. 2 field goals in the first, 2 touchdowns in the second, 2 touchdowns in the third. And then it just happened to be the Lions got 2 touchdowns in the fourth instead of 1. Like, just back and forth the entire game.
Jared Goff is officially Detroit's favorite white boy. Sorry, Eminem, you got to step to the side now.
But I will say Baker didn't have a horrible game. He was 26 41, 350, 3 touchdowns. He just had the 2 picks. And that last one was
and the first pick. The second pick was bad, but the first pick, I mean, was like a weird deflection type thing.
It was. You know? I wouldn't even rate it his fault.
Baker. Sorry, go for it, Jordan.
Oh, I was just gonna say the guy that he was throwing it to was open. Yeah, it just got batted into the air. But you were gonna say?
Oh, I think Baker's one of the funniest quarterbacks because I don't think Baker he's not elite at processing the game. He doesn't have elite scrambling. He doesn't have elite arm talent. But goddamn, is he elite at being a dog, dude? I mean, there's just something about Baker. Like it's not definable. It's not something that anybody should ever grade a quarterback on.
There's no stats. There's none.
But he is. I mean, he's got to be the biggest dog at quarterback. I mean, he just goes out there, he lets his nuts hang, and he just plays. He plays football, man. Like, I don't know what else there is to say about Baker.
I don't play school. I play football. R.I.P.
Oh, dude. Yeah, Baker's crazy. I think the Bucs at some point might win a Super Bowl with Baker. I don't know. I think Baker has enough of that quirked up white boy swag to eventually,
they have a
bring the Bucs
team.
to Super Bowl.
This is his
and that team is good.
System. Yeah, it's their first year.
And it's weird because I'm going to be honest, like a lot of people at the beginning of the year thought the Bucs were going to win like 4 games. They thought they were going to be terrible, but that defense actually didn't age as bad as people thought.
Seriously.
I mean, that wide receiver talent is great. Rashad White is also a dog. Like, their O-line looks pretty good at sometimes. Like, I like this Bucs team.
Yeah.
And I think if you're the Bucs, you gotta have Baker for the next couple of years. Like,
I think they said they're bringing him back
exactly
next year.
Which is a shame. He's like, I really want the Steelers to sign Baker.
You're like, selfishly.
I would love to watch. And also, it would just make Browns fans feel even worse about themselves.
Hysterical. He just walks into Cleveland and puts an ass whooping on Cleveland.
I will say the Bucs need to do everything in their power to retain Mike Evans, though. I think that offense looks incredibly different if you let him walk in free agency. So that's got to be a priority for them.
A team would have to overpay for him to leave, I think. With his age,
I think so
stuff,
too.
You would have to overpay.
But I think a team is willing to overpay for Mike Evans,
aka Kansas City.
God, that would be disgusting.
Kansas City.
That would be disgusting. That would be that would be an automatic Super Bowl win.
Oh yeah.
Oh God.
Ugh, that just gave me the chills.
Yeah. Why did you do that, Danny? Well, shoot. Since we're talking about the Chiefs, let's go ahead and talk about the Chiefs. Chiefs outlast the Bills thanks to a shanked field goal by Carlson. They win the game 27-24.
Tyler Bass.
Oh,
Carlson was the Packers kicker, right?
Yeah, my bad. Sorry, I'm getting all of my shitty kickers confused. Forgive me, y'all.
So before we get into that, I just want to say real quick about the Bucs-Lions game. Todd Bowles just waving the surrender flag despite them being able to call a timeout and get the ball back.
We didn't even talk about that.
Is so cowardly. Is insanely cowardly.
Had like 15 seconds.
And the thing is like, people are saying like, oh, well, what are you going to do with 15 seconds? So I had a friend I had a friend who actually argued this. It was like, well, the game's over, so I actually kind of agree with the coach. Like, why does it matter? So remember Aaron Rodgers hitting the Hail Mary against Detroit with no time left on the clock? Remember when the Ravens blocked the kick against the Browns and returned it for a kick 6 and won the game when they were trying to take the win? Remember when the Chiefs had a 13-second drive to kick a field goal and take it into overtime? Like,
Deshaun Jackson's punt return against New York.
Deshaun Jackson, like there's there's a plethora of examples of teams that win in these insane conditions. Why are you going to surrender there?
It takes 1
you're in the
second.
playoffs. You're in the playoffs. If you don't get it, who cares? Then you just go into the offseason anyways. But if you're feeling like you're going to lose anyways, you at least send out the Hail Mary. Like, you at least try your best to win. You don't give up before the game's over. And Todd Bowles, and the thing is Todd Bowles is a good coach, and the Bucs shouldn't fire him for it. But man, does that suck? And especially if, like, I'm so glad I don't root for the Bucs, because if I had to watch that and be like, wait, why are we just like not even trying? And then our coach says, we were gonna lose, so who cares? It's like, are you serious? You don't believe in your guys?
Yeah.
Like, it's ridiculous.
I agree.
Brutal.
Yeah, let Baker bake.
Brutal. Let Baker bake.
My headcanon is the Bucs win that game with a 13-second drive by Baker.
At least tie it. No, they couldn't tie it. Yeah.
Oh, they would have had to tie it. They couldn't win.
Yeah, they could go for 2.
Send into overtime. Yeah, no, it did. The game should have kept going. America needed that.
America did need that. But all right, Chiefs-Bills.
Chiefs-Bills, yeah, missed field goal. To be a Buffalo fan, that has to be painful.
Wide right. They've only heard that 4 times.
Oh, brutal.
Hey, don't throw snowballs at the opposing team. Maybe then
that's true.
shit like this won't happen.
2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
Or just have Taylor Swift on your sideline. That works too.
Hey, I don't hate the Bills. I talk a lot of shit about the Bills because a lot of Bills fans get really obnoxious, but like, I don't hate the Bills. I feel bad that they always get put in these situations. It sucks. Josh Allen, I mean, really did play like a near perfect game
until the very
and then he just loses anyways. It's so heartbreaking to watch. But at the same time, Bills fans kind of deserve it. I mean, they really are just Eagles fans with good PR. I mean,
yeah.
Oh my God. That needs to be like a bumper sticker or something. That's great.
Yeah. But honestly, Josh Allen, he carried the Bills team this whole game. He led the team in rushing, obviously led the team in passing, had all 3 of their touchdowns. Mm-hmm. I don't know what more you could have asked him to do except for not be an idiot and throw to the end zone twice in a row at the end of the game when you needed like 5 yards.
Yeah, when a check down to Diggs could have probably kept you alive.
Yeah. But
again, I mean, even then, you think you're still going to make the 44-yard field goal, so you might as well go for the. I think it's a stupid decision not to take the check down and continue the drive. But it's not necessarily like it's not a logical thing for Josh Allen to be like, well, let's just try to get the big play here and try to win. And then worst case scenario, we're just going to kick the 44-yard field goal and we'll be fine. Little did he know that his kicker was
but they didn't their time management on that drive wasn't great. Horrid.
And also, earlier in that game, I mean, again, it's with the Bills, like, we give Josh Allen a lot of shit, and we're going to be the first people to ever talk shit about Josh Allen because of some of the boneheaded decisions he'll make. But when it comes to the playoffs, Josh Allen is a different beast. Like, he plays surgical football. He plays really well. But good Lord, does every piece around him let him down? Like, I mean, what was Sean McDermott doing?
Was awful.
Stephon Diggs turned into a cone. I mean, and 8 Sean
targets,
McDermott coached
3 catches.
Like, oh God. And the thing is with Sean McDermott, it's like he was coaching for the Taliban, man. He didn't want the fucking team to win, you know? Like, what was the fucking Mickey Mouse 4th and 5 DeMar Hamlin fake punt?
That was a Disney Plus special.
Yeah, dude. We're not in a Disney movie. You're in the fucking playoffs. Like, I don't care how much you think it was great that, you know, Al Qaeda came together and, you know, hijacked the planes. Like, that's not how this works, man. Like, God. I don't know. I don't think Sean McDermott's going to get fired. He shouldn't get fired after the season. But I think he is a big problem in Buffalo. And
yeah, their coaching is one of the parts holding him back.
And as simple it is for us to sit here and blame Josh Allen and say it's his fault and that, you know, if he didn't play like he had his brain turned off and throw a million interceptions, the team would be in a better spot. But in the reality of it is Josh Allen knows when to actually turn his brain on during the playoffs.
Yeah.
And all these playoff losses he's had have really not fallen down to him.
They've been
as much as I would like to say that they did.
He's never really gotten blown out in the playoffs. He always loses by like 3.
Yeah, it's always close.
And it's either his defense lets him down or his kicker. Or he does something.
And then you always see the picture resurface of Stephon Diggs looking over at the Chiefs celebrating. And every year it always seems to be the Chiefs that truly are celebrating at the end of the game. You know?
How is he still standing there 4 years later?
What is blood doing?
Yeah. But it would be interesting to see Josh Allen on like the 49ers. We just talked about Purdy. But like, they could go undefeated with Josh Allen and the team they have. That would be
frightening.
Imagine Josh Allen on a lot of different teams, man. I mean, think about him on the Steelers. Think about him in Jackson.
I love how you always have to bring it back to the Steelers
because we
suck so bad. Like, we really just need a fucking quarterback. Like, you can't win with Mitch Trubisky, Mason Rudolph, and Kenny Pickett, man. Like, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
Even some of the worst quarterbacks to ever win a ring are at least competent to some degree.
So I'll give another example. It's not the Steelers. Think about Josh Allen on the Falcons.
Oh, they'd be terrifying.
Right? Like, that's another team who's a quarterback away.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We talked about it last week. They're quarterback away. And Hopefully they don't choke away this 2-interview lead with Bill Belichick, but let's see what happens.
Brutal. You know what? On that note, I'm gonna kick it to commercial break for us, since you want to be an asshole to Falcons fans. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsor, y'all.
This podcast is sponsored by Hair Club.
Fellas, are you losing your hair? Hairline receding, maybe? In the past, we as men had limited options. We could either rock the grandpa hairline, shave it, or resort to a very obvious-looking toupee. Well, the good news is there's an option for you now. Hair Club is a hair restoration and hair replacement service with offices spanning across the United States. Hair Club is different from other hair restoration places because they use cutting-edge technology like TricoView hair and scalp analysis, utilizing micromagnification to examine hair and scalp health. This provides better diagnostics of your hair and determines solutions to stop your personal hair loss. Solutions range from EXT extreme hair therapy to keep and regrow your existing hair by reactivating follicles and adding volume, X-Strands hair systems that is color and texture matched to perfection to blend with the rest of your hair, or even hair transplant solutions for those who are further along in their hair loss. I personally use the X-Strand system and have never turned back. My wife thinks I'm as sexy as ever and my confidence is at an all-time high, but I'm just a podcaster, right? Well, Hair Club has become such a renowned name that even dudes like two-time NASCAR champion Joey Logano and primetime Emmy nominee Frankie Muniz both utilize Hair Club services. And if you ultimately decide on a service, be sure to use the code FOURTH, that's FOURTH, for 10% off everything you purchase. And get this, Hair Club is currently running a promotion for the month of January, and all their services are 20% off. So you can stack those savings with the code for a total of 30% off of your final purchase. There's no better time to get your hair back than now. So fellas, boost your confidence, get that look you want. Go to hairclub.com today.
Are you looking for a podcast to advertise your business? Well, you're in luck. Here at the Fourth Down Fiasco, we're looking for show sponsors. Whether you want to be a platinum sponsor and be mentioned at the beginning and end of every episode, or you just want a simple 30 or 60-second ad, we got you covered. If you're interested in having a spot on our show, you can reach us at fourthdownfiasco@gmail.com. That's fourthdownfiasco@gmail.com. We are excited to hear from you and even more excited to have you on the show. Join the Fiasco family now.
All right, and welcome back to the Fourth Down Fiasco. So for segment 2, looking into conference championship games for this weekend, any spicy predictions from you fellas? I do know Danny told us that the Super Bowl graphic changed, so we have some conspiracy stuff there, don't we?
Yes, so the Super Bowl logo theory, hopefully everyone heard about. The last 2 Super Bowl logos, the colors on the logo represented the 2 teams. In the beginning of the year, they released a logo, and it was purple and red, meaning Ravens-Chiefs. However, I think the NFL heard about that theory and decided to release a new one, and it is red and blue.
Are we going to get a Chiefs-Lions Super Bowl?
So they are prepared for any outcome of these conference championship games.
That would be a historic storyline.
That would be great.
I would need Jared Goff to somehow win that game. I need him to be the Eli Manning of our generation.
We cannot have the Chiefs win the first back-to-back Super Bowl since Tom Brady. Those fans like Buffalo will be insufferable.
Oh my gosh, yes. Especially with you and I living up in northern Colorado. There's so many Chiefs fans up here.
Why? What?
Yeah, it's the weirdest thing. I don't know why.
Well, we touched the
state.
I know.
We touched the state of Kansas, so the people who are from Kansas that want mountains, they move here.
Oh, okay. I guess. But you're only like 45 minutes an hour away from Denver? And Denver's like a popular team.
Yeah. I don't know why there's a lot of Kansas City people.
Because a lot of people here in Utah are Denver fans. Because there is no
I can see that.
Kansas City just pushed out Denver fans into Utah.
Weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why our housing prices keep going up. All these damn Kansas Cityans. Yeah.
Californians. But yeah. All right, Tanner, predictions for this game. Kansas City.
I will say before we go into Kansas City Baltimore is that I did go 4-0 in division round. So
ooh,
you should. So just follow me. I will predict this entirely correct.
So are you saying that people should place money? Is that what you're saying?
All their money pull
All
out
of
a
it.
second
The whole
mortgage
house.
on Tanner's bet.
The entire mortgage.
All right, for the sake of legality,
wife will forgive you.
please don't do that. If you're listening, please don't do that, because we will not be held liable for when you lose all your money.
I'm
All right,
just,
who do you have?
I'm just saying 99% of gamblers give up before they win it big. So I'm gonna pick the Chiefs. And as much as I think the Ravens are the more talented team, I think we're just at the point where it's like with Tom Brady, where I feel like if you're betting against Patrick Mahomes, you're kind of just asking to cry. You know, like it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
I think, again, this is the best defense Patrick Mahomes has ever had. So I think the defense is going to be able to keep the Chiefs well enough in the game. And at that point, when the defense is playing well enough to keep a team in the game, it really just comes down to who do you think is the better quarterback. And I'm going to pick Patrick Mahomes. And as much as I think the Ravens should win this game, I'm not going to bet against Patrick Mahomes with the Super Bowl on the line. Especially when he has a defense that can actually help him out. Because in the past, he's had to just do it. Like, he hasn't had a defense to support him. And so I think the one time he finally does get, a top 10 caliber defense, I think that results in a Super Bowl berth for him.
Yeah, and with Houston keeping it close, Kansas City's offense is much better. Their defense is better. And if the Ravens, I wouldn't say struggled, but they kind of struggled against Houston. If they do that against Kansas City, it's game over.
Yeah, no, I'm in the same boat as Tanner. I think that on paper the Ravens are the better team, top to bottom. They are. I don't think that that's a controversial thing to say, but I just have a hard time betting against Pat Mahomes. Because, to Tanner's point, we saw this for years with Brady, where everybody always would be like, oh, yep, no, this year Brady's going to lose. And it's like, no, he's not. And I think that Patrick Mahomes kind of has that same characteristic of, if it's even just a remotely close game, it can be won. And so I think it'll be a defensive battle. It'll probably be like a 20-17 type of game, I think.
I could see it being a little higher. I could see it kind of repeating last week with Kansas City 27-24.
Okay, fair enough.
Just another extra touchdown thrown in there. But for anyone who personally knows me, you've probably heard me say multiple times that with how much gambling and money is thrown in the NFL, that is a little bit rigged. And this week, I continue with that trend. Let me find.
Are you saying that there are script writers?
Oh, what? No.
Give them credit. They kind of cooked this year.
They did.
Oh, yeah, no. Storylines have been crazy.
Yeah, give them some credit.
The storylines have been crazy. We talked about it a couple weeks ago with the playoff predictions and everything. But it's about to get spicier with the officiating crew that they threw on this Baltimore-Kansas City game.
Ooh, talk to us about it.
Oh, so they decided to put Sean Smith on the Chiefs game. In the last 3 years, with other refs, home teams win 56% of the time. However, with Smith on the field, the home win rate drops to 40%.
Ooh.
Yes. And the home team covers the spread normally 50% of the time. So it's a coin flip if they're going to cover the spread. But with Smith, it drops to 37%. So is this a coincidence? I don't know. Do they want Taylor Swift to be up in the little box in the new stadium built out in Las Vegas?
That is going to be the Disney Channel original special of the century. The Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl. Travis Kelce's going to get on a knee and propose to Taylor Swift, and we're going to get nothing but platinum hits afterwards from Taylor. And it's going to be incredible.
More Mama Kelsey Canes ads and Jason Kelce's shirtless jumping out of press boxes again.
And Travis Kelce is changing his name to Travis Swift.
That'd be crazy. I also liked how surprised people were that Jason Kelce was able to jump in and out of that box like that. They're like, "Oh my god, can you believe?" It's like, "Can you believe that he's able to jump out of that?" Yeah, he's a professional athlete.
Yeah,
I will say he was. I don't know how hammered he was, but he looked very graceful doing it. Like a big guy doesn't always look graceful. Like I'm not saying he couldn't do it, but for how graceful it looked. Good
but he's an O lineman. You know, like he's doing squats all the time. Like I am not surprised at all that man can jump like that.
No,
like
yeah.
I was so amazed that everyone was like, "Oh my God, you see what? That's so impressive." Jason Kelce was able to do that. It's like, yeah, man, he's like a top tier athlete in the world.
Yeah.
I saw an angle. Someone had filmed it whenever he was jumping out of the press box, and you could see like his wife in the very background. And I know, yeah, and I know that look. That's that look of like, oh, I hate my man, but also I love him. My wife gives me that look all the time. So I was like, yeah,
happy idiot.
Yeah, exactly. Happy idiot.
Yeah. Did you guys see the report? Kylie Kelsey was like, you have to be on your best behavior. This is our first time meeting Taylor Swift. Like, don't do anything stupid. And he goes and takes his shirt off.
Takes his shirt off and starts shotgunning beers. Yeah.
He's got to set the bar super low, so then every time he meets Taylor afterwards, like he said on his podcast, that it just gets better and better. And Travis, it's part of the charm, is what he said.
And Travis said Tay still loved him, so it all worked out.
We love that.
However, I think the NFL is slightly rigged. There's too much money in it, but that's me. So I'm picking Kansas City to win.
If we're looking at the, I guess the blue side of that logo, if the script writers are correct in their logo conspiracies here, does that mean that the Lions are supposed to beat the 49ers? I mean, I think that they're going to, but that's just me.
I think their defense can stop the 49ers offense. Depends on if Christian McCaffrey comes out to play like an MVP Christian McCaffrey or not.
I think it really just matters how much pressure you get on Brock Purdy, because, you know, he had a good 3 to 4 dropped interceptions against the Packers, and one interception quickly turns into 2, and then it snowballs into 4. So, I mean, if they can get pressure on him, I think the Lions have a chance. If they can't get pressure on him, 49ers are running away with this thing. Yeah. I think in a shootout scenario, I think that there's just too many borderline MVP caliber players on the 49ers that a shootout's just not in your interest.
Do we know if Deebo Samuel, how bad is his injury? He'll be back this week, right? I'm
not sure, actually.
Shoulder. I know they sat him out the rest of the game, but I don't know if they've announced anything. It'd be dumb for them to announce it early. We don't have any insiders that tell us any information.
Yeah, if only. Maybe one day we'll get some insider information.
Maybe. But, go ahead.
Yeah, okay, so it still remains uncertain. He did not practice today.
Yeah, they're going to not tell us till Sunday morning.
Probably. I don't know. I think I love the idea of the Lions making the Super Bowl. I think that they absolutely could do it. I think that they're strong enough offensively and they have a good enough defensive line that they can make something happen. But I don't think I can pick them. I think it's got to be the 49ers at this point. And the main thing that I think separates it is that Detroit's secondary sucks. And you need, like, again, we've talked about it. Brock Purdy's not amazing, but he's good enough to at least piece you up if you got a bad secondary. Yeah. And I think if Ayuk and Kittle are running wild in the backfield, I mean, I think if, you get some of those good designed, like Christian McCaffrey routes as well, like the Lions secondary just can't keep up with that. And I think the 49ers are going to get huge plays that are just going to be too much for the Lions to keep up with. And as much as I would love to see the Lions be surgical on offense and keep control of the game, I mean, this is a really good 49ers defense. And I don't think I have enough faith in Goofy Goff to get through it.
Yeah, they just let Baker piece him up for 350.
Yeah, but Baker's got that dog, all right? I'm sick of this Baker slander over here, all right? Like, we literally just talked about how he was number 1 in dog in the entire NFL, and you're going to sit there and use that as a slight against the 49ers defense? Get out of here.
The Lions defense.
Oh, yeah, they didn't play. Duh.
Yeah, the Lions secondary just got pieced for 350 against Baker. Purdy could piece him up for 250 easy.
All right, there we go. That's
It wasn't slander to Baker. It was slander to the Lions.
All right. We'll allow slander to the Lions secondary, but not to Baker Mayfield.
No,
Baker Mayfield could go 400 for four TDs and 4 interceptions. You pull the Jameis Classic, and I would still think he's the GOAT.
Oh, no, we like Baker over here.
Yeah. Remember, we are an anti-Josh Allen, pro-Baker Mayfield podcast.
Even though,
just don't let me get drunk and start showing the Baker police footage.
No, please show the Baker police footage. That makes it even cooler. What do you mean?
But as much as I want the Lions to win, and they do remind me of the Bengals 2020 run with getting their first playoff win in 30-plus years, narrowly winning their next game, somehow making their way to the conference championship. I could see their run fall short now or in the Super Bowl either way, but that 49ers team is just good. And
no, I agree, and I hear what y'all are saying. If they can get pressure, I think that it's fine. I think that Brock is due for a couple, a pair of interceptions if they get pressure on him. So that's more of just that's the key to the game, truly, is if they can make him uncomfortable, make him have to run out of the pocket, not be able to set his feet when he throws, throw cross body, make, split second decisions, things like that, instead of just being in the flow of the offense like he normally is comfortable enough to get to do. I think that they have a chance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
Kind of crazy none of us picked the Ravens. But we'll see how well that ages.
Like milk, probably.
On it, so we're just following your lead, Tanner.
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, I don't know. I've just seen enough bad Lamar Jackson stat lines in the playoffs that he's got to prove something,
This could come back to bite me. I just don't think Lamar Jackson can perform at the highest stage. He's never had to in his career except for in high school.
Wait, so are you saying he's not very quarterbacky?
Oh, no.
I
don't answer that.
Dude,
that is a trap door. Do not open that door, Danny.
That's called baiting. So, yes, I don't think he's a quarterback. And use that one on TikTok.
Oh, my God. So, beyond the conference championships this weekend, there have been a couple of coaching moves. We saw Harbaugh get signed with the Los Angeles Chargers. Danny, who else? Which other coach signed?
The Bengals offensive coordinator Brian Callahan has left to fill Mike Vrabel's spot in Tennessee.
There it is.
Dude, the NFL is not ready for the Zach Taylor coaching tree. That is going to be abysmal.
This going to be
because
great.
I don't know if you think this is a hot take, Danny, but I don't think Zach Taylor's that good of a coach.
No.
So, I don't know what we're doing, getting a Zach Taylor coaching tree going, but oh man,
I would have had Brian Callahan than Zach Taylor as our head coach.
Well, at least that's good then.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope the best for him. I am excited to see.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see Harbaugh with an actual competent quarterback instead of
Harbaugh is making his return back to the NFL after the whole cheating scandal in Michigan and winning the national championship. And
I mean, it worked out for Bill Belichick for several years,
That's true.
I will say a couple of weeks ago, y'all said no way Harbaugh leaves. And I said, I don't know. That Chargers position is pretty tempting. And look where we are.
Okay, Tanner, we get it. You're never wrong on this podcast. We understand.
New name.
Yeah, it's not going to be good when
Tanner's
the Ravens blow the Chiefs out.
Fourth Down Fiasco.
Well, where did I say the Steelers would end the year at? We don't need to talk about that one.
Did you say 17-0?
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, I do remember you saying that they would make it to the conference championship. I do remember that. I remember that being said.
That's a lock. Conference championship.
That's a lock.
Yeah,
Somebody call Jay Pry.
I had the Eagling going through my veins.
Hey, as a Cowboys fan, I understand you get real excited at the end of the year because you're like, playoffs. Anything can happen.
We made it.
At least you guys get to watch your team in the playoffs.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, I'd rather have not watched the Cowboys in the playoffs.
Yeah, I would. Honestly, I think I would have much rather us not have made it than lose the way we did.
Yeah,
that's a tough one.
Let's talk about how your team can get better. right after what Tanner says.
Okay. I was just going to say, I think Harbaugh's a great fit for the Chargers. I think
so too.
It's going to be really good. Thank God Herbert finally gets a competent coach.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to see what the Chargers are going to do with that. But I mean, the AFC turns into more of a bloodbath.
I was just about to say that I'm excited to see what happens. I'm not excited about the AFC because it was down to it was already down to 11, 12 teams this year. Now you're throwing in a 13th team, and that's just brutal. And then you have the NFC that has we have 3 good teams.
I mean, obviously, we really only had 2.
Yeah. Sorry.
And the Lions even have some
1.5
very
teams.
Yeah, the Lions even have a very apparent red flags.
Yeah.
Of course, when my team becomes good, I waited 24 years for the Bengals to become good, and everyone decided to come to the AFC. Literally.
Hey, at least you've seen your team make it to the Super Bowl in your lifetime.
The Detroit Lions fans have seen more playoff wins and conference championship games than you have in your lifetime.
Oh, yeah, no, I know. It's bad. This is why we're boycotting Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys next season. But like Danny said, to look into players that could potentially make our team better, there are going to be some pretty big names in free agency this year. I'm going through the list right here. We've got Kirk Cousins, Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, Derrick Henry, Tony Pollard, Austin Eckler, T. Higgins, Michael Pittman, Mike Evans, Calvin Ridley. Dalton Schultz is going back to
Mayfield.
Houston. Hunter Henry is Baker's not on this.
He's technically a free agent.
Yeah, I guess he is. Yeah, Baker Mayfield. I mean, we've got a ton of free agents coming up in this upcoming season. I think the one that I'm most curious about is Kirk Cousins, if he wants to stay in Minnesota, if that's the plan for them, or if he does go to a team like the Atlanta Falcons or, someone else who needs a quarterback.
If Belichick goes to Atlanta, I could see Cousins following him. He's already publicly said that he would like to play for Belichick. But he also
that would be
said,
disgusting.
That would be terrifying. But he also said he would take a hometown discount for Minnesota. So which one is it, Kirk?
Yeah.
Pick one.
I think no matter where Kirk goes, I think it'll be a good fit. I think it'll be fun. Unless maybe
he's just a fun quarterback.
Yeah, I like Kirk a lot. I think he had an amazing season before he got hurt. I mean,
he was playing well.
What was when people were extrapolating his stats for after the first 4 or 5 weeks, they were saying, oh, if Kirk keeps his pace, he'll throw for 6,000 yards, 60 touchdowns, 8 picks, and go 0-17 or whatever it was.
Stupid.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Pretty bad.
But there's a lot of teams that could absolutely use Kirk. I mean, again, you mentioned the Falcons would be a great fit.
Would you put Cousins top 15, top 10?
I'd put him probably
fringe
top 10.
Top 15.
Somewhere in the 9 to 13
to 12
range.
Maybe, or 13.
Yeah. I would have to actually sit down and make a quarterback list. I think with all the injuries, I think he's definitely, I guess he's injured too, so you want to be in that list. But I know
if you have a franchise quarterback lockdown, you would like Kirk Cousins on your team.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
But yeah, he's somewhere he's floating around where I think Dak Prescott is in my head.
Mm-hmm.
He's somewhere in that 8 to 14 range.
Yeah, White Dak Prescott, yeah. Well, we were talking about Houston needing a running back. Good Lord, I'm looking at, 5 big-name running backs: Saquon, Josh Jacobs, Derrick Henry, Tony Pollard, Austin Eckler. Any of those 5 dudes automatically makes Houston significantly better, in my opinion.
Oh, I agree.
I think best case scenario, dude, if you could get Derrick Henry or Saquon on Houston, that would be diabolical.
Get one of those two and then draft a speed running back. That offense would be terrifying.
Which of those running backs do you think is going to look terrible on a new team? Because with 5 free agency running backs that are all in their late 20s, early 30s, I think at least 2 of these guys are going to look awful on their new teams.
Pollard
and
I'm going to go with Eckler.
Oh yeah, I forgot Eckler. He's just getting.
That's where mine. That's where my mind went. I think Jacobs sneakily has a chance to look like a scrub too after he leaves.
I think
Yes,
but I do like Jacobs.
A good O-line, he can pop up.
I think so too, but you never know. Like we've seen a lot of these. I mean, remember how Le'Veon Bell looked, man?
There has never been a worse drop off ever.
Wow.
So you never know with running backs, man. It's scary to give them a new contract on a new team. I think of those guys that's safest to look really good. I think Saquon will probably look good no matter where he goes.
Yeah, I agree. Running backs' lifespans are just so short, and if you get one past their first contract, that you've struck gold.
Well, and Saquon spent so much time with leg injuries that like the rest of his body never really took any damage for so many years. That like part of the reason why he looks so good this year is like, because he's played 10 games in the past 4 years, maybe.
It's like Raheem Mostert. Like he's 31, but he's popping off because he hasn't been used that much. Like he hasn't been abused and just thrown to the dumpster.
Imagine that you take care, you make sure that your running back isn't just constantly getting smashed every other play, and they can stick around for a little bit. Who would have thought?
Yeah, we talked about it before, Houston needing a wide receiver. There are 2 number 1 wide receivers. Well, it's a number 2 right now, but he could be a number 1 on a lot of NFL teams. But we have T. Higgins and Mike Evans as the big wide receiver names on the free agent list this year.
Shoot, you also, I know that he wasn't particularly great in Jacksonville, but bro, you put Calvin Ridley with CJ Stroud, and I think that that's a completely different game.
I think Ridley's staying with Jacksonville. I don't think he'll leave.
We also skipped out on Michael Pittman.
I don't. He's not a number 1 in my book.
You don't wait. Nah, don't tell me.
There's a reason why we skipped Michael Pittman.
You guys don't like Michael Pittman?
I like him.
He's all right.
On Houston, I don't think you could put him as
he's not a wideout one. Yeah.
I don't know. I think you're crazy. I think Michael Pittman is really fucking good.
He's good, but I wouldn't put him in the category of Higgins, Chase, Jefferson, Evans.
Okay, let's slow the roll. I wouldn't put Higgins in the case of Chase or Jefferson either, right?
That's fair.
I wouldn't put Evans at his age right now. I wouldn't put in the case of Jefferson or Chase. But I think Michael Pittman fits in really well in that like Amon-Ra St. Brown territory where, maybe he's not like the best wide receiver one you can have, but you're pretty damn happy if you have Michael Pittman as a number 1 receiver, I think. I think you're pretty damn happy if you have Amon-Ra St. Brown as a number 1 receiver.
I feel like they're not on the same level, though.
No, I like Amon-Ra more than Pittman.
Yeah,
I don't think I like Amon-Ra like a lot more than Pittman though. Like I think I would prefer if you say Amon-Ra or Pittman, I would pick Amon-Ra. But I don't think Pittman is really that far behind. Pittman, he's a good route runner. He gets good separation. He has pretty good hands. Like I don't really know what else you would want out of a guy like that. I don't think he's going to get as much money as I would say maybe just Mike Evans, but I think he'll get a similar contract to like T. Higgins.
I think Higgins is going to get a lot more money than Pittman.
You think? I don't know. Honestly, for me, that's closer. And I don't know. Maybe this is crazy, but it's close for me between whether or not I like Pittman or T. Higgins more. Like I think Michael Pittman is a really good receiver. Yeah.
I think Pittman is closer to Higgins than he is to Amon-Ra St. Brown.
And that's probably the comparison I should have made is probably that. But like I don't know. Like I think if 2 people come up to me and one says, I would much rather have Michael Pittman or I'd much rather have T. Higgins, I wouldn't necessarily agree with either person. I think it's really just what you're looking for.
That comes down to a lot. Like it has to fit your playing style. You can't. If you were looking for none of them are a small guy, but a small, quick guy, you can't sign on Mike Evans. So, whatever person fits your scheme and play style better is the dude you're going to take, especially if they're similar in skill.
I don't know. Maybe this will age I milk. Maybe Michael Pittman's going to go somewhere and look terrible, but I like Pittman a lot, and I wouldn't be shocked to see if Pittman does better in his new landing spot than Higgins does in his new landing spot.
I've just seen Higgins play without Chase, and he goes for over 100, gets the 2 touchdowns. Like, he fills in that number 1 role instantly. And I hope Higgins does not leave, because I don't want him to go be a number 1 on another team.
But, I mean, it's going to be hard for Cincinnati to
I don't know how we're going to afford him. Especially with his agent. His agent is the hardest one with guaranteed money, and it's just brutal.
Show me the money, Jerry.
Seriously. But what we can all probably agree on is we hope none of those wide receivers go to Kansas City.
Agreed. Yes.
Yeah. Watch Michael Pittman on Kansas City. He looks insane. I can tell you that right now.
You put any wide receiver with a top 2 quarterback, and it's going to look crazy. As long as he can catch the ball.
Yeah, as long as you can catch the ball.
Again, that's why I think Michael Pittman's really good. I mean, he had 1,100 yards and over 100 catches with Gardner Minshew, you know?
That's true. Yeah,
like
10.6. Okay. He only had 4 touchdowns.
I didn't realize that he had 1,100 yards. Wow.
But think about like how good Michael Pittman has looked with the carousel of QBs he's had through his whole career. I mean, it's kind of the same thing. Like, I really like Terry McLaurin a lot. I think a lot more than a lot of people actually like Terry McLaurin.
Poor scary Terry, man.
But like, think about the carousel of QBs that Scary Terry has had to deal with, and looks that dominant with those scrubs. It's kind of the same with Michael Pittman. Like, he goes out there and balls despite having, you know, the corpse of Phillip Rivers, the corpse of Nick Foles, like, has these types of guys thrown to him.
I guess I never thought about his quarterbacks. I just kind of look at his stats and don't think about his quarterbacks. But yeah, it will be interesting to see where he goes. If he decides to stay and try to test the waters with Richardson, or goes to a more solidified quarterback team.
Shoot, at this point, if I'm a wide receiver, first place I'm trying to go is Kansas City, because there is a wide open spot for you if you are it's top 30 wide receiver in this league right now.
And if you want to chase a Super Bowl ring, that's where you go. I mean, it's the same reason why we got Randy Moss on the Patriots, you know?
Yeah. I mean, is it chasing a ring if you're going to be their number 1?
Fair, yeah. As long as you're a contributor to winning.
If any decent wide receiver goes in there, they're the number 1 wide receiver. Is that still classified as chasing rings, or just you just want to be a number 1?
I think it's a little bit chasing rings. I mean, the Chiefs are fucking good.
It's still chasing rings.
Oh man.
I mean, Randy Moss was going to be a number 1 anywhere he went, but people all thought he was chasing a ring when he signed with the Patriots. You know.
That's true.
Hey, sometimes winning is the most important thing.
Except Randy Moss never got it.
Lost.
Yeah.
Eli Manning.
Eli Manning prevented Randy Moss from having a ring.
I was going to say even more ironic because the original Jared Goff won that Super Bowl.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, all right. On that, we're going to go to commercial break again. And whenever we come back, we have some fun stuff with the ELF to talk about. Danny is going to reveal who his team is going to be right after this.
Are you looking for a podcast to advertise your business? Well, you're in luck. Here at the Fourth Down Fiasco, we're looking for show sponsors. Whether you want to be a platinum sponsor and be mentioned at the beginning and end of every episode, or you just want a simple 30 or 60-second ad, we got you covered. If you're interested in having a spot on our show, you can reach us at fourthdownfiasco@gmail.com. That's fourthdownfiasco@gmail.com. We are excited to hear from you and even more excited to have you on the show. Join the Fiasco family now.
And welcome back to the Fourth Down Fiasco. Man, we have something really exciting. So as a lot of y'all know, whenever the NFL offseason hits, we're going to start following the ELF, the European League of Football. And so we're all in the process of trying to figure out who we want to cheer for, because obviously none of us are European, at least by nationality. But we still want to be able to be a part of it somehow. And so we're in the process of choosing teams, and Danny has been toiling with this for a little while now. He's got a confidential envelope signed from the President of the United States himself.
Yep. In this
Barack Obama.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to.
Whatever. Whatever. In this envelope is my official European League of Football team that I will be rooting for. I posted a tweet today. The team responded, and they were all happy, excited. Is it that team? Is it another German team? Who knows? But I gave it a week on Twitter for all the teams to try to get their words in, and one team kind of remained at the top every single day. And today, they really showed out because my official European League of Football team will be the Vienna Vikings.
Woo! Let's fucking go.
I'm rocking the purple and gold. They were ecstatic on Twitter.
They followed us.
They followed
us. I think it almost means that all three of us have to root for them, but we'll slow down
to some degree. Yeah, just to some degree.
I am now the biggest Vienna Vikings fan from America in history of the Vienna Vikings since like 1984. Actually, they've been around for a long time.
They've been around for a hot minute. Yeah.
So yeah. But
they were there back in the NFL Europe days.
That's true. It feels good to officially come out and say that. You know, there was between the Stuttgart Surge a little bit, the Vienna Vikings. It has to be the Vikings. No other way.
I just love how you picked the two best teams in the ELF and was like, oh, I'm going to do one of these guys.
They didn't even win the two teams didn't even win the championship. How can they be the two best when they didn't even win the championship?
I thought one of them
last year.
Who won the championship?
Rainfire.
Ryan
Fire. My bad. I said that last week and I messed it up now. The Rhine Fire.
Then which one of them lost in the championship game?
Stuttgart.
Okay.
Stuttgart beat Vienna and then lost to the Rhine Fire.
Oh, okay. Forgive me then. So you got the third best team and the second best team as yours.
Sorry that I picked good places to live or have people live in.
Whatever.
But hey, and they're our I feel like they have to be like one of our number one fans right now, right? Like,
oh yeah.
Whoever's running that marketing account,
we love you, Vienna. Shout out
Vienna's marketing team or social media team.
So I am still undecided for the ELF, and I am calling upon our 15 listeners now. We're making our way up in the world. Now, of course, 5 of them is Danny's family, but
it happens.
But I am calling upon listeners for a poll. I have narrowed it down to 3 teams for myself, none of which I think are particularly great. I was originally looking at doing the Berlin Thunder, and just growing up in Dallas and being not too far away from Oklahoma City, which their basketball team is the Thunder. Something about cheering for the Thunder feels very wrong. I can still refer to their defensive line as the Berlin Wall all I want without having to be a fan. So I am looking between the 2 Spanish teams of Barcelona and Madrid. Because currently right now I am relearning Spanish, and so hopefully I can do some tweets out in Spanish, talk about the game that way. It'll be a way to challenge myself. I'm going to do either one of those 2 teams or the Tyrol Raiders, because I mean, that area out there in the Swiss Alps, it's like Colorado on steroids, and I would live there. Well, I thought that the mountains themselves were the Swiss Alps. It just happened to be Austria. Am I being a stupid American right now?
I think it's just the Alps. Is it the Swiss Alps? Well, Tanner, this is your question.
I mean, they're just called the Alps. Yeah.
Wow.
If they're the Swiss Alps when they're in Switzerland.
Alps when they're in Austria.
I'm already starting off on a really bad note with Tyrol. So, yeah, between those 3 teams, we'll have a poll up on Twitter for y'all to vote, and whichever one wins, I will cheer for. Even if they're bad, they can be my bad.
We could have the Battle of Austria on our hands. Give us Tyrol versus Vienna.
Could get nasty.
We could go there and watch it live.
Hey, yeah, if any of these teams, even the ones that we're not talking about right now, if y'all want to give us some free tickets, hey, Munich Ravens,
we'll be the biggest
we bout that live. Paris Musketeers, I'll buy a jersey tomorrow, like.
If the Spain teams send us stuff too, I can get around. Like, I know enough Spanish to
hey, ditto,
get to places. So
if I'm with the 2 of you, we're good. I'm good.
Yeah. Only problem is with my complexion, they'll think that I'm fluent, and then they're going to be very sorely mistaken whenever my very white American accent comes out while I speak Spanish.
Yeah.
I'll be speaking Mexican Spanish, so it'll be great.
Any words on your team, Tanner?
I'm gonna commit with the Wrocław Panthers, and again, it's just because of my ethnicity. So
Fair.
We'll go with where my family was from generations ago.
Digging in the roots.
Shout out to heritage. I mean, unfortunately for me, all of my heritage is either undocumented in Africa or parts of Europe that don't have a ELF team. Unfortunately, like there's no English team, no Irish team, and that's mainly what I am. There's no Scandinavian team. I wish there was. Dog.
Give them a couple years and they might. You never know.
I would throw down on a Scandinavian team, bro.
Maybe in a couple years you'll be changing your favorite team.
I mean, if they make, that's the same thing. If they make a Croatian team, man, I'm going.
Yeah,
we're there.
Yeah. Hey, I'll go to Dubrovnik with you.
I'll go anywhere with you guys.
Dude, I would. Yeah.
I would mess up Dubrovnik. Well, cool. That's pretty much our time today. We are going to end today's show with another draft. I do just want to say, while it might have been some biased voting, I did win our last draft.
Shocking. Someone with the biggest Twitter following.
I know it's a bit unfair, so we won't run a poll this time. We'll just let people comment since we give out participation trophies out here. But
it's 2024. We can do what we want.
So for this particular draft that we're going to do, we're going to have a little bit of fun here. We are drafting a quarterback, wide receiver, running back, a defensive player, and a coach, and they all have to be from fictional, whether if it's a TV show, a movie, I guess a book, if there is one that y'all know of, but I don't have any book characters in mind. So, and our draft order is going to be basically we're just shifting down one. So whereas I drafted last time, I'm drafting first. Now Danny will be second. Tanner will be last. So.
And it'll be a snake draft again. So Tanner,
yes,
get 2 picks.
Yeah. So
I got a notepad up. We're good.
Got a notepad up. Hopefully no one.
I have my notes as well here. And with the first pick in our fictional football player draft, my mama said that Bobby Boucher was the greatest foosball player to ever live.
Wow. What a number one
I had
pick.
to go with it.
What a number one pick.
Bro, you can't. The Waterboy has to be the greatest comedy football movie ever made.
That's fine. But I'm going to start my team off with the quarterback, strong foundation.
Okay.
Give me Willie Beeman from any given Sunday. He's a little bit of a showboat and a little bit of a not a team player, but he can ball. He's got that dog in him.
Mm-hmm. So, he's like Baker, but black.
We got the white
and Jamie Foxx.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh,
yeah, I'm building my team around Willie Beeman here.
Okay, I dig. Tanner?
All right, so I'm not going to build off of quarterback. We're obviously going wide receiver, and we're going to go Rod Tidwell from Jerry Maguire. Absolute just great talent. Jerry Maguire, there's a scene where Tom Cruise has sex on a porch. You see Cuba Gooding Jr.'s full ass, but if you pause, you cannot see his dick. He covers it. It's just his ass.
Didn't Cuba win an Oscar for that role too?
So I will say this, a lot of people love Jerry Maguire. That movie fucking sucks. It is aged terribly. It is miserable to sit through. It is long. It's like a 2.5-hour movie. And for whatever reason, they chose to use the Cardinals as like their flagship team for that movie too, which I think is hilarious.
Team that gave them the rights.
Yeah, it's the only one who was allowing them to mess around with that. But when I first moved to Utah, that was the first movie like me and my roommate sat down and was watching Jerry Maguire. And we all thought it was so bad that we bought a Jerry Maguire poster and hung it in the kitchen. So
nice. I love it.
Shout out Rod Tidwell. He's the GOAT.
I did look it up. Cuba Gooding Jr. did in fact win an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor for that role.
Wow.
Nice. Yeah, he's obnoxious as shit in that movie.
Must have been a slow year in 1997.
Probably was actually, yeah. People
Tanner,
love that
you have
movie though.
that-
People love Jerry Maguire. It's insane. Like my parents, I talked to them about it. I'm like,
Show me the money.
I was like, yeah, I watched Jerry Maguire and I didn't think it was that good. And my mom thought it was like, dude. My
parents
thought I
love
like
that
committed
movie.
a sin. Yeah, my mom was like, Jerry Maguire is so good, but and I was like, this movie sucks. For my next pick, I'm obviously gonna go with Keanu Reeves. We're going Shane Falco at QB.
Yep, the replacements.
Solid.
Yep.
Solid pick.
Yep. All right.
I don't have as much to say about the replacements as I do Jerry
fine.
Maguire, but
That's fair. Replacements is a fun movie.
That's true. With my second pick, I'm going to be taking an All-American player. I might be shuffling him around a little bit from kick returner to wide receiver. Give me Forrest Gump.
As soon as you said kick return, I knew you were
Give me
going.
Forrest
Hey,
Gump.
you know that's a solid pick.
My end
That's a
zones will
solid
have
pick.
signs that just say stop,
Stop
running, stop. But get the ball in his hands and it's game over.
Well, with my second pick, I am going with guard Dunham from. Tanner, earlier, so before we started recording, Tanner actually mentioned drafting guard Dunham, and I just laughed and was like, "Yeah, you better get him with one of his first back-to-back picks." I'm sorry, but just the after game, the post game press conferences would be top tier. The racism that he would spit out of his mouth in those conferences would feed families for generations. He would be on the front page of Barstool every week for even if it's just a mediocre stat line, he would just be there.
And you'd have probably a really easy time signing Nick Bosa.
Exactly. Hey, listen, all I need is for him to just stiff arm somebody real good and say, that's how a white man runs a football. I just I need that in my life. And then with my next pick, I'm going to switch over to wide receiver now. I'm going to take Deacon Moss. Same movie, but it's played by Michael Irvin. So I know that dude can ball.
Are we allowing that? That's a real life wide receiver here. No.
Yeah, but it's a fictional character.
I'm kidding. It's okay. But all right, so you went back to back. Now my turn again. I'm going to hop over to defense, join you on that side. And I'm going to take Vontae Mack from draft day. Give me the OSU Buckeye that the Cleveland Browns GM is so high on that he cannot take the Nebraska quarterback over.
Of course you went with the Ohio guy.
Yeah. It's more of his brass knuckle cell phone, the phone case that he had.
R.I.P. Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah, R.I.P.
Yeah. Tan?
All right, so then I get two back-to-back here, right?
Yep.
Okay. So for running back here, we're going to take Julian Washington, good old LL Cool J. I got not a whole lot else to say. I mean, it's LL Cool J. I mean,
he beats people down for a living.
Yeah. So feel like that was a steal. Feel like you guys shouldn't let me get that one.
My bad.
And the next one we're going to go with might be a little bit of a cheating situation because, I mean, he's most well known for coaching soccer, but we're obviously going to go with Ted Lasso.
Oh, damn it. Golly.
Didn't even cross my mind.
See, that's who I wanted at coach. Oh, man.
So it was between him or Denzel Washington, but I was made aware that Denzel Washington was a real person. So
yes, the coach
kind of
of Remember
awkward.
the Titans is a real human being.
Apparently based on a true story. It's been a couple of years. When I mean a couple, I was like 10 since I watched that movie.
Nice.
Didn't realize it's based on a true story.
That's okay. But
so it's also good that I didn't take Ryan Gosling either because that was also on the list.
That's true.
And I guess that was a real dude.
But Ted Lasso, a good pick. Can he perform at the high level though? He's only coached Division II football.
Dude,
we'll have a great TV deal though.
That's true.
Dude, if he can take a team from a sport that he knows nothing about on the highest stage in a different country and make them a winning program.
Fair.
Hey, I was going to draft Ted Lasso, so I believe in him.
If I thought of him, I would have, but I had one coach in mind, and that's who I'm sticking with. However, I'm not going there yet. I'm going with my sleeper pick for my running back. He is a 5-tool athlete in any sport you throw him in. Give me Pablo Sanchez from Backyard Sports.
Oh, what? Wait. Oh, man, that we fucked up. Oh,
Easily the best athlete ever. Easily.
Bro.
Oh, dude, Pablo Sanchez? Yeah, I mean, he's the GOAT.
You let me have the GOAT in the 4th round.
I mean, to be fair, did not know he was available. I thought that was like cheating. I thought that's like drafting Jesus Christ, you know? Like, that's essentially what you just did. I feel like that was way too deep in the bag. Yeah.
I was kind of worried that he was getting a little late in the 4th round. Like, you guys had your back-to-back picks. Tanner had yours. Like, I'm just glad he stuck around till then.
That's awesome.
Give me Pablo Sanchez.
Fair enough. So that's me, right? I'm next. Yeah,
should be.
Yep.
Yeah. You get your back-to-back. End it out with your.
Oh yeah. I do get a back-to-back. So, I've already built, all of my position players. I've built my defense. Now I got to round it out with a solid quarterback. Give me Joe Kingman from what was the name of that movie with The Rock in it? You see, I had it and then I lost it. This is embarrassing. The Game Plan. Thank you. Yes. Give me Joe Kingman from The Game Plan. Absolute specimen of a human being. Rocket for an arm. Freak athlete. Veteran mindset. Just absolute dog. Yeah. Now, this is where I would normally have picked Ted Lasso as my coach, but unfortunately, I am going to have to shift directions, and it's unfortunate because I think Coach Lasso is probably the only one who can deal with the amount of ego and racism on this team. So instead, I'm going to shift in a completely different direction and take a coach who will contribute to all of those things. Coach Marty Daniels from Blue Mountain State.
Wow. Blue Mountain State.
Coach Daniels is just... He lets players play. If you got dog in you, he makes sure that you on the field, and he's got a smoking hot wife or ex-wife. So I got to give it to Coach Marty Daniels, bro.
That's fair. And I guess I got to round out my team with my coach. He might not be the most understood coach out there.
Oh Lord.
And I'll be promoting him from offensive coordinator to head coach. But give me Farmer Fran from The Waterboy.
You win. It's over. It gives you the crown. I just always remember the scene whenever it's the last play and Bobby Boucher is like doing the they're throwing that flea flicker pass or whatever, and everybody else is like freaking out and like coaches are like hiding their face, and then Coach Farmer is just fucking holding on to his nipple piercings and just going while everybody else is like freaking out.
Oh,
best pick. That was the best pick.
All right, Tanner, end us off.
All right. For the entire draft, I was thinking my last pick was going to be Charles Jefferson from Fast Time at Ridgemont High, just because it's Forrest Whitaker, right? But since you took Pablo Sanchez, that had me thinking, what if I just take somebody that's a fictional character and make them play a position they never played before? And in the reality that I was trying to think, what is the scariest video game character to go against?
What
and it's obviously Mike.
Open?
I got defense. And so I was thinking, what happens if you put Mike Tyson from Mike Tyson's Punch-Out at middle linebacker? And I don't think you win. Honestly, I mean, I mean, you've all played Punch Out. I mean, he stands at like 13 feet in the rings. You know, it's a no-fly zone. He's gonna like literally jump at the offensive line. I don't think there's much you can do. You know, I don't think Pablo Sanchez is going to be able to get past Mike Tyson. All right.
Mine came from a football game, at least.
Yeah, I was about to say. I thought like on the play.
I don't know. I think we can teach him how to at least just stand there. I mean, you see how big he is in that game. Like he's like 13 feet tall. You don't have to be that good at football to be 13 feet tall and play linebacker. I think you're going to do well enough.
I'm allowing it. You get to go for me.
Screw it.
You get the green flag.
I'm just glad that you didn't draft Mr. Miyagi as your coach, because I was really worried.
See, I think it's still fair. I think Mr. Miyagi absolutely would be able to figure out football, and I think he would coach Dan better than anyone else could. But whatever, we won't do it.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
so yeah,
that was incredible. A lot of laughs to end off the show. Yeah, we're gonna let us know your thoughts. You don't have to say who's a winner or a loser or whatever else. We're not gonna have a poll for this one. Just if you have a 5-person lineup from any fictional anything that you think could outplay any of our teams, let us know. And with that. And that takes us to the end of the show. Make sure that you follow us on Twitter at @4thdown_pod. Also on TikTok. Sorry, I almost said Twitter. TikTok and Instagram at Fourth Down Fiasco. Share this episode with people you know. We would appreciate it.
Yep.
And as always, we hope that y'all have a great day, and we'll see y'all next week.
Shout out Vienna Vikings. Peace.
Peace.
And I'm gonna keep doing them both because they make me feel good.